and just invite some people over and share a common meal with one another, laugh with one another, because something has happened with our social strata of alienation that we as Christians know needs to be dealt with by inviting people in and around and having time with one another. There's been a social anxiety about all of that, but the reality is that we as Christians can engage that. And we're going to learn some things from today's gospel passage, some do's and some don'ts about it from Sweet Mary and Martha. So as we look at this passage, if you'd like to open up your Bibles that are in your pews, we're going to be on page 869. For those of you that want to open up your phones or your own Bibles that you're in, we're going to be on Luke chapter 10, beginning at the 38th verse, going through the 42nd verse. It's a short little passage, but it's important to know the context before we jump in there. Chapter 9 in Luke is a pivotal chapter, and in that chapter, we see that Jesus is transfigured. We see that he's been changed in glory, and he's discussing his departure of this world with Moses and Elisha in that cloud. We know that he is discussing this and working this all out, and as this is happening, he then sets his face towards Jerusalem, where he's going to encounter his death on the hard wood of the cross. So we see that Jesus in this passage is nearing Jerusalem, and he stops in a town called Bethany, where his good friends, Mary and Martha, who are the sisters of Lazarus, he's stopping at their house for a while. Now, we kind of know that this relationship is going on through the scriptures as we read them in their entirety, that this family has been a very close family with Jesus. And you know that Lazarus is a dear friend of Jesus. He wept at the grave of Lazarus. He wept. I mean, he was just so distraught in that. And so we see him meeting with Mary and Martha in this house. And Martha says, "Come on in. Let's have a meal together." Well, that sounds all well and good, doesn't it? But realize Jesus has got 12 disciples at least with him. Are you catching the drift? So he's got an entourage that's with him, and probably a crowd of people kind of around that. So Martha has to begin to prepare the meal. Now, this is a surprise visit, and those of you that have entertained and had a surprise visit know the hamper, the cabinet, and you start pulling out a little extra rice-a-roni or whatever you've got, throwing it together and putting it all together. She's got to bake bread. So she's got to knead the bread. She's got to get everything together. She's got all this prep that's happening. And Mary, her sister, Mary, is sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to him. How many of y'all have had to entertain, and the person that's in your household is also maybe watching or the Tour de France or something, and you go, "Could you please get up and help me?" You understand this, right? So this is not a foreign concept to any of you, right? But Mary is at the feet of Jesus. Okay, this is the difference. It's not the Tour de France. It's not a football game. She is at the feet of Jesus, and as she's at the feet of Jesus, there are some things that are implied that she's doing. It's implied that she is learning from him. She is being discipled by him. That she is listening to the wisdom of Jesus and growing in knowledge and grace of the law and the application of the law. And these things that are going, her sitting implies that she is submitting to the king. You understand? She's not in his face, that she believes in this Jesus. She's seen a couple miracles. It implies that she has a sense of love and desire for this Jesus. So you can see